A new Battlefront game in the near future is unlikely, but what needs to be done right for the next Battlefront installment to become the best Star Wars gaming experience? Truth be told, Battlefront 2015 and for some Battlefront 2017 have been the catalyst for changing a lot of people's lives within the Star Wars community. And there's no denying that those two most recent games, especially Battlefront 2017, have been overall some of the best Star Wars gaming experience that the overall spectrum of Star Wars gaming fans have had, especially considering that people still play the video game today, which indicates that even though it had a controversial launch, it was still able to eventually find a loyal fanbase that's been sticking around playing the video games since launch. And this, I think, is really incredible. Unfortunately, there's a very notable downfall of the overall Battlefront franchise. And this statement is definitely reinforced by the unsuccessful relaunch of the OG Battlefront a few months ago. And that whole relaunch controversy and the fact that Battlefront 2017 ended on a kind of bitter note among the community, given that a lot of people had a lot higher expectations for what the game should have been, the overall state of the Battlefront franchise is generally quite dampened. And when we haven't even heard any official news or announcements about future projects for a new Battlefront game, people are left wondering whether or not we'll ever get a new Battlefront that we can play, enjoy, and let it possibly change our lives in ways that can be difficult to imagine as of right now. So obviously the question is then, will there ever be a new Battlefront game? Personally, I think yes, there will be. So let's put this thought on the table. What would a new Battlefront experience look like? And who should be responsible for making it? I do think that DICE, who were responsible for Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2017, should not touch the Battlefront franchise ever again. For the simple fact that they should focus on the Battlefield franchise, which is already a massive struggle for them. And also, DICE clearly doesn't know really how to handle live services. And in order for the next Battlefront to work, there needs to be implemented a really well developed and thought out live service that will last for years. But I will touch more upon that a little bit later in the video. So with that out of the way, given that this should be the Battlefront experience, I really think that this game should be considered kind of like a relaunch of the franchise, and it should be simply called Star Wars Battlefront, or it could be called Battlefront Legacy or something cool like that. So the setting for Star Wars Battlefront should begin with simply the prequel era of Star Wars. Because Star Wars Battlefront is a shooter experience, and it involves a lot of war and conflict and dramatic characters going against each other. And there's honestly, right now in canon, no better era than the prequel era to accomplish those aspects and themes. Because there are hundreds of stories, characters, and locations that they can use from the prequel era and use that as a foundation for the launch of Battlefront. And for the first few months, we can enjoy a dozen of highly developed prequel era maps, alongside a wide range of characters that we remember from the Clone Wars series that will go and fight against each other with their unique abilities, skills, and with their specific class benefits. And after that, this is where I think the live service model of the game will begin to reveal itself. For with this live service model, we will get the original trilogy, sequel era, High Republic era, Old Republic era, and Dawn of the Jedi era content. And what they can do is that they can borrow a little bit of inspiration from like Rockstar Games, where they drip feed new content to the game all the time. One of the main reasons GTA Online have survived for such a long time in the gaming industry is because Rockstar have made an effort to actually give content all the time. Every week there's weekly missions, there are incentives to play the game, and almost every month there's a new DLC or a new expansion to an existing DLC that ensures that the game continues to be interesting and ensures that the game have continued sales. So I think if we have the original, sequel, High Republic, Old Republic, Dawn of the Jedi era content all added into a live service model for Star Wars Battlefront, it could possibly be one of the biggest and best Star Wars gaming experience, at least within the shooter genre of gaming. In essence, the game should be a playground that captures the experience of every era of Star Wars in a fun and rewarding way. And I think alongside an effective live service model, the developers should also have open and clear communication with the player base. They should listen to feedback and they should be responsive with bug fixes. Overall, they should make it easy for the community to communicate with the developers of the game. Again, if it's all done right, this game could become the biggest Star Wars game and possibly one that will provide the most money as well with the live service model. And they could also make sure that there will be possibilities to buy in-game skins for real money, but of course you can also play the game for a while, earn in-game credits and buy it with that instead if that's preferable. However, obviously you have to work harder for it. Doing it this way, there will be a constant source of revenue for the development team and possibly the publishing teams as well, which is a good thing for us players because that ensures that we have a high probability of a long-lasting supported game that's constantly being fed new content. I think that with the new hypothetical Battlefront game, if it follows the model that I have just explained, will ensure that the gaming community for Star Wars will grow much larger and become a much stronger element in the franchise, because people will constantly talk about the video game and the experiences they have in it. Unfortunately, one of the weakest elements within Star Wars gaming today are the single-player experiences, because after a few months from the game's release, the games are hardly talked about in the community. Only once in a while will you see a little bit of chatter about it, but there's no consistent talking or huge fan bases that really centered around one single-player game and converse about the topics within the game for many years. But this is possible with a multiplayer Battlefront game that's constantly being served content all the time. As for which game development company should be responsible for this game, I'm not entirely sure, but what I do know is that it needs to be a company that, for one, have experience with shooters. The development team also needs to be fans of the Star Wars franchise, and also they need to have a track history of understanding what a good live service experience looks like. And when I say good, I don't mean good simply for revenue, but also for player satisfaction. But with that said, this was just a concept for a possible new Battlefront installment that will reawaken the entire Battlefront franchise once and for all. But since we don't have an experience like that right now, we can all enjoy the remaining activity in games like Battlefront 2 2017, and we can also enjoy the Battlefront 2 Kyber experience, which is a modded Battlefront developed by highly skilled individuals, which allows players to unlock a lot of customizability for the game and make Battlefront into a game that they want to enjoy. And if you're one of those who are interested in the Helldiver 2 video game, there was recently a new mod that released for the game that added reskins to the characters and the vehicles and the weapons and the sounds that make basically the Helldiver 2 experience into a Star Wars shooter experience. It's not exactly the same as Battlefront, but it definitely touches upon different themes of what a Battlefront experience could have been if it was done a little bit differently. But again, with all that said, this is just a fan imagining a future Battlefront game that they want to play, and maybe you share the same point of view as I do, or you have other ideas for a perfect Battlefront game. And if you do let me know in the comment section below where you stand in terms of the future of the Battlefront franchise. I would love to talk about Battlefront with you in the comment section below, so feel free to voice your opinions and takes. And with that, never forget, the Force is always with you.